Welcome to the Vet to Vet podcast. I'm your host, Bill Fitters. Joining me as I talk to fellow veterans about their military experiences from Vietnam to Operation Enduring Freedom. This podcast is sponsored by Tugs, talking, understanding, growing, and supporting. Even big ships need a little help sometimes. Feel free to hit the subscribe button below to get our latest Vet to Vet interview. Feel free to like, share, and leave a comment below. And thanks for joining us. Okay. Today we're sitting down with Army Specialist 4, Gerald Huck Northcutt. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm awake and dressed.
No, that's a good start to the day. Let's start off with life before the military for Mr. Northcutt here.
Well, I graduated high school in 1988 and went to college for 3 semesters. Figured out that college was really not for me. But in that process, I met my first wife, and we were married in March of 1990, and I left for boot camp in March of 1990.
And where was boot camp at for you?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Oh.
361.
Okay. And then how long was your boot camp?
Boot was 2 months, and AIT was 2 months.
Alrighty, fair enough. And anything special at boot camp happen or no?
No, just kept my eyes open, ears open, my mouth shut as much as I could.
And that is the best advice for anybody going into boot camp.
Right. Got in a little bit of trouble, but nothing that a first day rookie wouldn't make, and learned and moved on and graduated and went to Korea.
Alrighty, and in what year did we go to Korea?
That would have been 1990, so it would have been 4 or 5 months. So August of 1990. I landed in Seoul, Korea. Was on the tarmac the day Schwarzkopf went hot.
Okay.
So whatever day that was, we got the news that they had crossed the Iraqi border, and the war was on.
And where were you stationed at in Korea?
Tungdushan was Camp Kasich.
Camp Kasich, okay. And what was your job there, or your MOS?
94 Bravo. I was food service specialist.
Okay.
I loved being a soldier. Being food service was the worst mistake I have ever made in my life.
Well, you can cook, can't you?
I can cook. I don't enjoy it anymore because I got burned out.
That is a fair assessment.
Yeah, I went 10 months without seeing the sun.
Oh.
And I'm not being facetious. We were up at 03:30 out of the mess hall by about 10:30 when we were in garrison. And out of 13 months, I had 2 weekends off.
Wow. So you didn't get much off-base time?
Well, we could go down range, if we had the energy.
Well,
but
true.
No, there wasn't a whole lot of time for it. I mean, I went down range maybe 3 or 4 times down into Tungdushan, and I saw Seoul twice, I think.
Okay. Do you ever make it up to and visit the DMZ?
No, I kind of wanted to, but I was looking to get away from the military and not get deeper into it.
Yeah.
They offered me a 12-man team mess hall, and it would have been an E5 spot. And the day I was up there, a puff of smoke came out of the ground, and the klaxons went off. We were told to evacuate. All non-essential personnel evacuate. And me and my scenery for at the time. We jumped in the Humvees and hauled ass out of there. We found out the next day that they found an invasion tunnel that they could put 2 Humvees and a deuce and a half side by side.
Wow.
So they just got too close, and the smoke wasn't able to dissipate through the limestone.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've heard about that up in Korea.
Yep. Oh yeah, I have no doubt that they're still working on them.
Yeah. And what unit were you assigned to over there?
Second Brigade, second tank.
Well, that unit had a pretty good history, did it not?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that second tank goes back, I want to say, to the French front lines in World War II, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's.
And I believe second tank was furled in the early 2000s, but I can't remember the history now. It's been a while since I went through the timelines.
Yeah. And then where'd we go from Korea?
Went to Fort Stewart, Georgia. I was with 1st Brigade, 24 ID Band, and 1st of the 5th Air Attack Artillery.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed being a soldier.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for my first wife, I probably would have retired.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's got an ex-wife story coming out of the military.
Yeah, we can be civil now, but yeah, there's still a lot of whiskey under the bridge flowing.
Yeah.
So
just to take you back to Korea, was there any thing culturally that you liked off base, or no?
Yeah, I was on one of my trips to Seoul. I was looking for a hope chest for my first wife, and didn't really know what I wanted, what I was looking for. So I went into an antique shop and talked to the old man, and they were called arashi, like, respectable term for like a grandfather type. And so I'm talking with him and told him what I want, and he explained that every young woman, either right before marriage or right at marriage, they get their own hope chest, and it's designed for the woman's hopes, for what she wants for her future.
Okay.
There is no handing down grandma's hope chest. They don't want another woman's hopes and dreams.
Understandable.
And yeah, and made sense even for me at that age. Here I was, 21 or so, and so I'm looking around, and I'd never heard that thought for our culture, so it didn't bother me. So I bought one, paid $100 for it, and filled it up with Christmas gifts and sent it to my wife. And the guy took me to his house and gave me dinner, and then brought me back to the shop, and then I was able to retrace my steps back to the train or the bus, whatever it was. And he, gave me instruction for the culture as we're riding the subway and all that. And this older woman, offered me her chair. And I'm like, being our culture, I wanted to decline. And he looks at me and is like, "You take that seat, and it will be an absolute insult for you to refuse."
Okay.
And it's like, they honor and respect the working man and then the soldiers in their country at that time. There wasn't this big anti-U.S. sentiment that we see in the world today. They knew we saved their rear ends in the Korean conflict. So this woman was old enough to remember all of that at that time, and it struck me that they were our conservative culture from the 40s. How the women were demure and respectful, and didn't if they exited the house, they were dressed to the nines.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. You did not see torn jeans and raggedy T-shirts. Their hair were done. The makeups were perfect. And I remember seeing these three young girls. They were probably college age, and they were absolutely beautiful. And my mouth hit the floor, and they saw me. And I'm riding on the bus, and they just started laughing. And I'm like, kudos to y'all. You are out here just doing the normal everyday stuff, and just they could have been on a runway in Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. When they get dressed up, their attire is something to envy.
Absolutely, and that was the norm.
Yeah.
They didn't exit, with slippers and pajama pants. They didn't go Wally World hunting.
I was gonna say Walmart.
Yep, yep. I will never forget that. And when we sat down for dinner at his house, I mean, it was, honored guests first, but there was plenty, and I'll never forget, those who are interested in weight loss and healthy dieting, healthy living could take a note from the Korean diet. I mean, I love Korean food. I love kimchi.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife hates the smell of it, so I don't get it very often. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, they definitely they take care of themselves pretty good over there.
Yes.
And then, did you ever see how their burials are done by heights on a hill? I think it's called, or something like that. The higher hierarchy you are in the family, the higher up the hill you're buried.
No, I can't say I ever saw that.
Yeah.
And I had one opportunity to go see some ancient temples, and I chose to go to Seoul. That was one of the weekends I had off.
Okay.
So, and I wished I had been able to see the temples and understand that part of their culture.
Yeah.
But I was, that was probably when I was getting close to Christmas and needed to get her the hope chest. And she still has it, by the way.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I when I was in Korea, I never, and I'm in the same boat as you are. I kick myself for not going to their temples and checking those out.
Right.
And we had an elder on our bus. I think we did a bus tour, and it was like 6 hours long. It was just incredibly long on this bus. And the elder had explained to us about the burials on the hill and pointed it out, and it just kind of amazing how you brought up respect and how they dress in their cultural get-ups. I shouldn't even say get-ups, but in their cultural dress to the nines. They are very prideful and respectful people.
Yep.
I didn't get to eat too much of the food there because we were kind of locked down. They were having demonstrations at the time. But
I was there in 1991, and we didn't have any of that.
Yeah, I was there 80. Was it 89 or 90? And they were demonstrating pretty harsh, and we were on. Of course, we were living in Tent City because it was we were doing operations, but we did get to go off base, and you can buy Nikes for $5-10.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I bought a leather coat for just a few dollars, and a shirt that I really loved, and I wore it slap out. I mean, buttons just falling off. Yeah. I mean, I literally wore the stitchings out. That shirt was so comfortable.
And you could get fake Rolexes that looked just like the regular Rolexes for little to nothing.
Yep.
And they warned
Yeah.
us about buying them because of customs and stuff like that. But, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. What comes home in the duffel bag, you know.
Right? Oh, man. Yeah. All right. So we get to Georgia. You kind of probably felt at home down in Georgia.
Yeah, having grown up in South Mississippi, it never bothered me. The heat, the humidity. I mean, it was, you know, just like I was a kid.
Yeah, I love Georgia. I still do to this day. Beautiful state.
Yes.
You
get away. Yep. You get away from Atlanta and the deep city parts of Macon. Yeah, it's the people are laid back and the old dirt roads and oh yeah, I love Georgia.
And I never found an unfriendly person all the time that I was there. Whether
Okay.
it just same thing. Very respectful.
Yeah.
Very.
Yep.
I don't want to say stuck in their ways because they were just wonderful people. Like I said,
Right. Yep.
where else can you drive down the road and get boiled peanuts? From a from a guy, and he's got a smile on his face as big as can be because you're helping him, but yet he knows he's helping you.
Right. Oh, and I love those little stands. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah.
You know they're fresh out of the ground. They're not coming out of a can. You know, oh my, yeah. I love boiled peanuts.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the guy that I bought the peanuts from, his wife ran in and got a Coke in a bottle, and said,
"Oh wow,
this is the only way you can eat these."
Right.
And I was like, "What?
Right.
What? I'm from Wisconsin. You got any cheese or cheese curds or anything like that?" And I gotta admit, I liked it. It was good. It was good. You know.
The first time I gave my wife now, and this was when my mother was still alive, so 18 years ago, we went down for a visit, and they had a little, just like a 3-aisle convenience store, and they always had boiled peanuts. So I got some Cajun flavor.
Mine's a breaker in right.
Right, yeah. So she can eat them now, but I mean, she just about gagged on me when I gave her some of mine.
Yeah, I can't do spices, but yeah, more power to you and to her for being able to even try those. Because I know better.
Right.
I was stationed with a guy from Louisiana, and that ruined my my liking for anything spicy because he only knew how to do it one way, and yeah, not for me.
Yeah. You ever had chicory in the coffee?
Chicory? I have not.
You either like it or hate it.
Okay.
I mean, there is no. Yeah, maybe I'll have another cup. I mean, it's one way or the other. So.
All right. Well, tell me what's it taste like?
It's a little bitter.
Okay.
The closest thing that I could say up here that we would have would be Hill's Brother coffee.
All right, now you're talking.
But there is palate differences. I mean, my brother Butch, he just kind of compares it to mud. He doesn't like it, but he doesn't like it. So, but I mean, now if you ever travel to New Orleans, you have to go to the big tourist restaurant. And at the moment, I can't think of the name. But you get beignet and coffee.
Okay, I've heard of that.
And yeah, the beignet is a really light donut ball, but I mean like a pocket of air with powdered sugar on it. I mean, just literally just melt in your mouth. And the coffee, to do it right, you got to get chicory.
Okay.
So, uh, you know, for whatever reason, I cannot think of this restaurant cafe name. Cafe du Monde. There you go.
Cafe du Monde.
Yep. And I mean, that's the big tourist restaurant, but any little restaurant, cafe will have beignet and coffee.
Okay. Yeah, my wife's grandmother was in the New Orleans area, and my wife grew up in, and you and I have talked about this in Mississippi. Where at in Mississippi, I couldn't tell you right now, but
Okay.
yeah, so she's got a palate that's probably similar to yours, but a little different than mine.
Yep.
Which that's okay. That's okay.
Well, yeah, has to be okay because there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Uh, you've seen the size of me lately. Obviously, I have adapted to eating it and liking it.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, I can do red beans and rice or etouffee or jambalaya. I mean, it don't matter time of day, day of the week. It don't matter.
See, now you're talking her language.
Yep.
I'm sure when she watches this, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, yep."
Yep.
So we're in Georgia, and what was our experience like as far as on base?
On base, being a cook, it was quite a bit less stressful. Had a lot more downtime. Um, and I mean, the negative side of it was that's when my marriage fell apart. Um, but as far as personal, Army time and work time, there was a good balance at Fort Stewart.
Okay.
So I was able to see Charlie Daniels in concert, right there on post. Had some fun cars at the time, and was able to just get around and see Hinesville and Little Issy, and did 5 years in Georgia, all total.
Yeah.
And then it was in '95. I started driving in '95. Yep. And did a little bit of mobile home work, which I enjoyed, and really didn't know what I had at the time. And then went OTR.
Okay.
And most of my 25 years was OTR. Is OTR.
And what year did you move to Wisconsin?
I went back and forth between Mississippi and Wisconsin several times in the late 90s. 97, I think, I left Georgia, went to Mississippi, did a short while there, came back to Wisconsin, and I know I was back in Mississippi in 99, and then in 2000, early 2000, I came back to Wisconsin and told myself that I was going to stay. One place or the other, I needed to put roots down.
Yeah.
So here I am.
You still get back south every once in a while, though.
Not well. Most of it is with freight going down.
Yeah.
Or has been, and I always aim for the Mississippi Songwriters Festival.
Yeah.
I have friends that coordinate the festival and own the festival rights and all that. And then with my interest in songwriting, I always try to go down and get influenced and inspired.
Yeah. Understandable.
That's right there that's right there at Ocean Springs, right there on the water.
Can't beat that.
No. Good food, good friends, good music. Yeah. I mean, it's just a solid weekend.
And good weather.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah. That's one thing Mississippi's known for is good weather.
Yep.
So is there anything else you want to cover
said, you picking my memories with questions helps. But for anybody interested in joining, I mean, I've even up into your mid-20s, I would highly recommend it. The life lessons you learn, you can't buy.
Very true.
So, and I mean, I've lived my life with a lot of those lessons. Teamwork and camaraderie and mission oriented.
And
that's just
and the self-discipline, I think, of
yes.
of doing the small things to make the big things happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's just part of life. But for somebody who didn't go through all of that training, even at a minimal 4 years, you can tell the difference.
Oh yeah, most certainly you can. Most certainly, and the thing is most guys that do 4 years or 8 years, after they get out, they wish they would have stayed in.
Yes. And when I came back up, I was up here in 98. I know at least 98. I tried to go back in, and for whatever reason, I was declined at the last minute, and then I went back trucking.
Yeah. Yeah, by the time I was interested in going back in, I was over the age limit. So, and I probably couldn't pass the physical. But anyway,
I couldn't pass it now.
Oh, no.
I can do the push-ups, and I could probably do the run only for being stubborn, but I wouldn't be able to do the sit-ups anymore.
No, I'd have to ask for a lot of waivers. That I know.
Yeah.
And they ain't going to do that.
No.
Well, sir.
Unless I need Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up there.
No, I was going to say, unless they need cannon fodder really bad.
Yeah. Well, I know you got a lot on your plate and are dealing or playing with some cards that you've been dealt with. And I wish you and your family the best, and keep me posted. And like I said, we're going to have to get together and get you into the Legion and get you around some brotherhood again. And
yep.
And
well, I will take care of that first chance.
I know you will, brother. I know you will. I never doubt you. And it's always a pleasure talking to you.
You too. Yeah, you too.
And for all the rest of you fellow veterans out there, keep your head up and moving forward.